What was loved by poor people until rich people ruined it? Creating YouTube channels. Corporate YouTube channels are so disgusting. The massive amount of companies taking over a site for individual creators is really heartbreaking. Avocados have become so popular that the locals can no longer afford them. Living near the coast used to be a per people thing a long time ago. My grandfather bought a house on Cape Cod when he retired from being an airline mechanic in the late 60s. He wasn't poor, but he sure as hell wasn't rich, and a normal middle-class person wouldn't be able to do that today. Even if you inherit a house free and clear, the property taxes will eat you alive if you aren't rich. My grandparents had a summer home in Door County, Wisconsin that was right on the water. Without telling anyone else, they sold it because, who's gonna want some crummy old cabin? The land is worth millions today. All types of what was traditionally per people food, pork belly, oxtails, etc. All the things that used to be cheap because they were considered to be the trash parts. Now that people realize how delicious they can be, it's driven the price up. Pork belly used to be so much more affordable. It's a true shame how much it jacked up in price. The Champion brand. I remember Goodwill and Walmart selling their Champion stuff for cheap. Now it's designer, and it costs so much more now. SMH. Theater used to be the entertainment for the masses, and now it's ridiculously expensive and inaccessible to most people. Cheap foods, donuts, cupcakes, hamburgers, wings that have all been given the foodie treatment and went from good cheap eats to gourmet pricing without a corresponding increase in quality. Camping. It used to cost close to nothing to reserve a campsite. Some are still cheap, but now they've gone all bougie, and some sites charge you ridiculous fees to pitch a tent in the woods. Same with music festivals in the forests. People would go to get away from bullshit societal hierarchies and enjoys music and self-expression. Then they got all mainstream and it lost its original meaning. Thrift stores. Did you know about something called Thrift Con? People fly out to a convention center to buy vintage stuff, lol. I saw a video about that in Atlanta. They basically just reinvented the flea market but for rich people. Comic cons used to be pretty affordable, and you could chat with celebrities for a while. Now they are a huge extravaganza, with multiple levels of admission and VIP access and VIP seating. Pictures and autographs with bigger celebrities can cost a shitload, and you wait in multiple lines and are rushed through it. When I went, pre-COVID, I normally just see buy art. Those folks are usually not super busy and will often sign stuff for free, unless they are big dudes like Frank Miller. Mexican food, especially simple stuff like tacos and burritos. It used to be the cheap option, especially where I live, as there's a huge Hispanic population and lots of great cheap Mexican takeout places. Then all of a sudden tacos became trendy, and now places with $5 plus tacos exist, and everything went up in price pretty quickly. Stopped and got my wifey favorite dish from the local Mexican place. $22 for just steak fajitas. Rice and beans were the side. No drink, nothing extra. $22. I am just going to learn to make it at home. Podcasts. The number of amazing podcasts that have been ripped off by celebrities who are so out of touch with the average person's daily experiences is disgusting. They are so starved for attention they have to take over any discussion that's happening. I don't remember which one, but an established comedian said he makes more money for a 1-hour podcast than a month of headlining Friday and Saturday night shows. So he and his comedian friends just take turns on each other's podcasts, just bullshitting with each other, and apparently people eat it up. Food that was cooked out of necessity. Chinese dumplings or pot stickers, for example, was a way to stretch out meat rations over an extended amount of time. A pound of meat can be quickly consumed by a family of 5, but if you wrap small portions of that meat with carrots, cabbage, and virtually any vegetable in dough and either boil it or fry it, you can satiate the entire household for a longer period of time. When rich people started making it, basically with the same ingredients, the tone of the dish changed. Before, it was consumed because hard decisions had to made to make it through a rough period. Now, at places like Fats, a set of 5 dumplings will set you back about $15 and served as an appetizer to $100 or more meal, giving the illusion that you're eating some ballin' ass dumplings when in reality, it's just dumplings. Second-hand shopping. There's nothing worse than going into a completely harvested OP shop and not being able to find anything in your size of good quality because hipsters came and raided the place and sold everything at a 150% markup on their fucking Depop account. Or the shop themselves cut out the middleman and sell all the decent to good stuff on auction sites while they fill their stores with broken shoes and washed out H&M t-shirts. The outdoors. So many places used to be difficult to get to, required some level of toughness and grit just to see. More and more people argue that they are entitled to see these places without that, and they're flooding in, paving roads, cramming parking lots full, and trampling some of the most pristine, delicate, untouched areas of the world. I'm not trying to gatekeep these places, but nature sure was. Probably like ramen noodles or McDonald's. Fast food isn't even cheap anymore. Apparently something on the dollar menu is $1.89. True, but I don't think it's called the dollar menu anymore. Depending on which fast food place it is, it's called something like the value menu. But just like the $5 footlong, we all remember what it used to be. Basically everything. If it's popular with the poor, rich people will eventually find a way to take it over so they can turn a tidy profit. Vegan food. When it became a trend, the label vegan made it 50% more expensive. There was a huge scandal in the late 2000s when it was revealed most pizza shops didn't use real cheese, because plant-based was cheaper. Today vegan cheese 200% compared to normal cheese. Chicken wings. Used to be the cheapest part of the bird. Taking junky old cars and fixing them up as a hobby. Rich people discovered they could buy up loads of potentially very worthwhile project cars for not much, restore them to a level of unobtainable quality and price which drove the price up. Now everyone knows what they have, our old.png, and holds out for the big buyers instead of the neighbor down the street. They turned a hobby into a billion-dollar industry and entertainment conglomerate so they can sell the cars to other rich people since few people can afford a $200,000 restored Mustang or GTO or whatever it is. I feel like the internet is the reason for everyone knowing what they have. Now, the age of getting great deals on cars is dead due to the internet, not exactly because of rich people. Classic cars. It absolutely breaks my fucking heart that I'll never be able to own a 68 to 70 Dodge Charger because it costs like $50,000 completely restored. Now my second attainable classic car would be a first-gen Toyota Celica, and I just hope it's not incredibly jacked up because from the looks of current market prices here in my country, they're hiking really fast. Tybee Island, Georgia, aka the Redneck Riviera, used to be a place where one could get a house close to the beach for a relatively low price, until rich movie stars started buying there. Football was working man's game. My dad took me and my cousin to games every week home and away. This is beyond many now. My great-granddad played for Southampton and had to have a second job to support his family. No chance you'll find a footballer these days needing a second job. Farmers markets. Used to be cheap when I was younger. Now it's a hipster's paradise and expensive as heck. Sewing and sewing supplies. The new machines are plastic garbage, and since it's become a hobby rather than for the average person, the patterns after the 70s use way too much fabric. What gets me, as a sewing professional, is the uptick in fabric prices that aren't borne out by the demand. Natural fibers jack up the prices every time there's a drought that affects cotton growers, but they never come back down. Polyester is going to follow the rise in oil prices. The problem being, overseas sweatshop manufacturers can get all of it wholesale, which is why you can still buy a t-shirt at Walmart for $5. And yet, off-the-rack fashion is one of the most complained about things for most consumers, because it never fits and everything wears out or falls apart too fast. Making your own clothing is something a lot of people could turn to in order to get quality clothing that fits, but who can afford it? Have you seen the price of denim? Though what actually pisses me off is the rise in price in notions, buttons, snaps, fucking Velcro, because there should be no reason for it. Same with thread, when CNC switched to all poly thread and literally doubled the price. It's really telling when you stroll through Joann's and realize that all the fabric is basically perpetually on sale, because they know they would never unload half of their shit at full price. I'm just waiting for them to finally pull the plug on the Yaya Han cosplay brand because none of that fabric sells. Nobody wants it because it's not right for their cosplay, and it's prohibitively expensive thanks to the branding. What else have rich people ruined? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.